There's this illusion that you can multitask dating and that you can connect to a series of people at the same time. But that is just... Have you been wondering why dating seems to be so much harder now than there's ever been? Me too. So if you stick around, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why dating is harder now than has ever been and how you can simplify the process for yourself. To help you simplify the dating process, you can get my free ebook below. It's called 30 Mistakes to Avoid on Your Journey to Finding the One. And I believe it'll make your life so much easier. I went to an event recently where, we were asking a bunch of questions. And one of the questions I was asked is, do you think it's difficult to meet people? And everybody was like, no, I meet people all the time. And then another question that was asked is, why do you think dating is harder than it has ever been? And everybody was saying social media. And I agree that social media has changed the dynamics of how we meet people, of how we connect with people, because it's so amazing and sad at the same time that we want to connect with people, but when we're sitting in the same room with people, we'd rather be connecting with people on our phones. I'm just trying to explain the fact that social media has changed the way that we live as a whole, and not just dating, but it goes beyond social media. And I think the first thing that makes dating hard in these days, and why it's harder now than ever before, is the fact that we have so many options, or there's the illusion of having so many options. The first place you can look for that is dating apps. You can literally be talking to 7, 10 people at the same time, have a bunch of people in your Instagram DMs, some people on Snapchat. There's this illusion that you can multitask dating and that you can connect to a series of people at the same time. But that is just inauthentic, and it's just disingenuous, and it's really confusing, I believe, for you to be, going on dates with like 3 or 4 people at the same time, because how do you create the boundaries? It's so confusing. And I firmly believe that dating is about taking risks, is about being vulnerable. It's about saying, I'm gonna, after of course you've done your homework, you've decided that this person is the kind of person that I want to try to take things deeper with. There's no guarantee that it's going to work out, but it does not mean that you should be trying to talk to 10 people at the same time. That is crazy. I was talking about social media before and how everybody was blaming social media, and I definitely agree that social media influence has polluted the dating space, because people have forgotten what relationships are about. They've forgotten that relationships are about connection and companionship. And because of the trend of couple goals, of all the standards that strangers on the internet whose lives you don't really know about, because of the standards they've set for relationships, I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that the first thing that you should be getting from a relationship is companionship. You should want to be with a person, not an ideal. And the fact that now, if a guy doesn't propose in a ridiculous way in public, a way that can make you trend on social media, then it's not good enough. If he's not proposing, I've heard somebody say, if he's not going to propose with a real diamond ring, she wants a ring that's nothing less than $10,000. It was the trend of the girl who said that she couldn't be with a guy who would take her to the Cheesecake Factory, or he took me to McDonald's on the first date. And it's insane to me, because as much as, yes, I understand you wanting, a man to step up and treat you well, I feel like the first goal of any relationship should be to make a connection so that you can be companions. You have to see the person as a person. And the first date is an opportunity for you to have a conversation with this person to see what they're about. It's not a time for them to prove their financial capacity to you. I feel like social media has made people believe that your entire life has to be aesthetic. So you have to have aesthetic friends and date an aesthetic person, and then your first day has to be in an aesthetic place so that you can take nice pictures. It's almost like everything you're doing is like you're in a reality show. You do not want to do anything that is ordinary. And some of the most beautiful moments that happen in relationships are in the ordinary moments, right? Dating has become so transactional because social media has made us believe that if it doesn't look good, if it's not good enough to be on the gram, if I can't, we have to go to an Instagrammable place, I have to look good to my friends. If I can't do that, then it's not good. And that defeats the entire process of dating. Another reason why dating is hard now is because of this obsession with physical appearance. It has gotten ridiculous. And again, I think we can blame social media for this, but I think dating apps as well go hand in hand with social media and taking the blame for this. Dating apps are just set up for you to pick people based on physical appearance. I know they ask you all these questions and you're supposed to create a bio, but if we're being honest, when you're swiping, you're looking at who looks good. And even when you're picking your pictures, when you're choosing your pictures, you're putting the pictures that make you look your best. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Again, it's like a resume. You want to put your best foot forward. But I feel like all these systems have made us so focused on, does he look good? But building a relationship, it goes far beyond looks. Like, there's so many important things that we forget when we're so focused on how this person looks. This person looks good. And the way the world is designed now, the way society is designed now, everybody's obsessing about how good they look. And the truth is, that is not as important as so many other things we should be looking at, like intellectual compatibility, like emotional compatibility. Like, is this person sane? Because there are lots of crazy people out on these streets. And I feel like we need to rearrange the way that we're picking partners and look beyond just how good they look on the surface. I feel like focusing on looks when choosing a partner is majoring on the minor. Another thing that makes dating so hard in 2024 is something I call podcast poison. Everybody and their mother-in-law has a podcast now. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody is saying something. And there's so many people talking nonsense on the internet, giving relationship advice that honestly should get them either locked up or just locked up. Because, like, what in the name of all that is holy is all this toxic, ridiculous, annoying advice that is meant to make you die alone, or at least end up in a miserable relationship. We can't stop people from talking. I mean, the mics are on Amazon, the podcasts are free to post, so people can say whatever they want. But if you want to date successfully, if you want to be in a happy relationship, you need to be mindful of who you're listening to, right? You need to weigh what they're telling you and ask yourself, is this really going to lead me to a happy relationship? Watch who you're listening to, honestly, because it's crazy out on these internet streets. I told you all the things that are wrong with dating in 2024. Now let's talk about how you can simplify dating for yourself, how you can make it easier for yourself instead of hard, how you can date smart instead of dating hard. And the first thing is get clear on what you want. How can you get what you want if you do not know it? And when you know what you want, don't settle for less. And I'd not say don't settle for different, because the truth is, sometimes we set these goals and we expect, a partner that might be what we want, but it's not really what we need. Be ready, be open to get something different than what you expected, but don't accept less than you deserve. Don't accept somebody who doesn't treat you as well as you want to be treated. Second way to simplify your dating process, don't major in the minor, okay? The most important thing is being with somebody who treats you well, who makes you feel good, who supports you, who's a safe space for you. That's the most important thing. A person of good character, a person who'll be loyal to you, a person who'll be there with you, for you, no matter what. A person who has your back. Now, if all of that comes in the package of somebody who is traditionally attractive, of somebody who is attractive according to society standards, yay for you. But if this is somebody who you're attracted to, and they don't look like the world says they're supposed to look, you need to be sure that all that matters is that you're happy and that you're going to be treated well. Because trust me, if you end up with a jerk who is 6 feet tall, has a six-pack, and has 6 figures in the bank, you're still going to be miserable. You're going to be miserable, and you're going to forget all about his money. You're going to forget all about his six-pack. You're going to forget about his height, because never has anybody said, when they asked them, oh, what do you love so much about your husband? Never has anybody said, I like how tall he is, or I like his six-pack. It's always how he treats me, or how kind he is, or how he's supportive he is. So don't major in the minor. If you want to make your dating process easier, if you want to make your life easier, if you want to make your relationships easier, focus on what's truly important. Measure your expectations. And by this I mean, you need to ask yourself, what do you want? What do you really, really want? And what do you want because other people have told you to want it? If you don't want to eat it, don't smell it. This is a Nigerian proverb that basically means don't entertain what you know you cannot put up with. If you know you do not want to put up with this thing, then don't entertain it. And basically in relationships, this means if you know that you have no interest in a future with a guy or in a relationship with a guy, don't let him hang around. I'm going to use myself as an example because I did this. I met a guy in a party, and because he had a British accent, and I love British accents, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I enjoyed talking to him. I enjoyed listening to him talk. But really from the first minute I saw him, I was like, yeah, no, this is not for me. I just knew that he and I would not connect on that level. But still, I gave him my number and I spent, a few months talking to him. I noticed that he was very, people who just subtly put you down and subtly criticize you and mock you. So many things were off about him. And eventually, we ended up having like a falling out because he was asking me for something that I couldn't give. And he had asked me for it before and I said no. And that was my cue to say, you know what, this should not go any further. I just blamed myself because I'm like, you knew from the very beginning that this guy was a bad idea, but you let him hang around anyway. And so that's the whole meaning of if you don't want to eat it, don't smell it. Entertaining somebody you have no plans of being with is still occupying space that the person you want to be with should occupy. So basically flush out all the drama and get rid of people that you're not going to date who are just hanging around. And finally, start where your people already are. The things that you enjoy, the places that you already go, the circles that you're already in, it's easier for you to find love in those spaces because it's already organic, it's already natural to you. Those are spaces you already belong in. You don't have to try harder to become something you are not, and you don't have to completely move into a different space. Plus, you know that you're very likely to be aligned with the person that you find because you already roll in the same space. To help you simplify the dating process, you can get my free ebook below. It's called 30 Mistakes to Avoid on Your Journey to Finding the One, and I believe it'll make your life so much easier.